Alright guys, so I don't know about you, but I'm getting a little bit bored of playing Hammer of the Ancients since before season 1, right? So this is my Upheaval build that I've been working on. It is a very, it's a very hard rough draft right now. It does damage, it does about 20 million damage at its peak. As long as you get the situation set up right. It goes through mobs in tier 100 perfectly fine. I have no idea how it's going to do in the Abattoir, other than the fact that it is unkillable, just like every other build that's going around right now. It uses the Melt the Heart of Selig, and you just don't die. You don't take damage hardly at all. So, but we're gonna get over to the build. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you enjoy what you see, by the way, because we're trying to get to 1,000 before the end of the year. I don't know if we'll get there or not, but we're gonna try. Expect another video to come out in the next couple days of this build, though, with a lot more changes to it. Because right now, again, it's just like a really rough draft. But let's get over to the build. Alright, now that I've found my random stool to sit on, we're going to start out with the gear here. Harlequin Crest, of course. Every single build I have is probably going to run that, unless it's one of the weird druid builds. I don't think you can substitute this with anything, to be honest. The damage reduction is just necessary. I mean, the 4 ranks, yeah, that's cool and all, but the resource gen and the damage reduction it's the best, right? And this build doesn't use a basic attack to use might or anything like that. Go down to the chest. This is the same one from the Hammer of the Ancients build. Technically, instead of max life, you'd probably want like damage reduction while fortified, but this is what I got, so this is what we're using. And then disobedience on it. Edge Masters on the gauntlets, where it's just where strength's at, you should probably put critical strike chance for those times where like it's awkward and you're in between Fura pops, but the occultist doesn't like me, and I wasn't spending any more on this gloves. So this is what we're running with, but you should have critical strike chance, attack speed, lucky hit chance, and upheaval. Lucky hit chance you can probably do without it. That's, I think, the only thing that really cares about lucky hits is boots here, but definitely attack speed, definitely ranks of upheaval, definitely critical strike chance. The Bolt's Will, of course. Every single build I have and every single build that everybody has is going to use it, because you should be using it if you're not. For the 40% multiplicative damage while unstoppable. And then boots, we got damage reduction while injured, movement speed, and then lightning resistance, poison resistance. Come down here to the, of course, using the Hellhammer. I've actually debated on whether I should use this or not in the build, because I miss having a two-handed slot that I can put an aspect on, but for now we're going to use it because it is good. It's got damage to burning, damage reduction from burning, and plus ranks of upheaval, which is really good. In this build, actually, though, I used the sword instead of a bludgeoning weapon, but we'll get to that in a minute. Doombringer, the extra max life is just like, you can't beat it. You just can't. With the way this build works, the resource that you lose, the more life you have, the less resource you lose, essentially. So then the more resource you gain, and that it's just better all around. And then we have Limitless Rage. So both of these aspects, too. I mean, I've hit 20 million with this, and both of these aspects are mineral rolled, because I just put them on at the occultist, because this is just testing it pretty much, but it works really well. Got the Grandfather, of course. Ring of Red Fury, because I mean, we want guaranteed critical strikes plus the multiplicative damage. Resource gen, really good. The rest of the stats are okay. They don't matter too much, but they're still nice to have. Band of Unrelenting Fury, so we can get resource back when we hit stuff. Critical strike chance, critical strike damage, damage while berserking, and resource generation. Critical strike damage probably isn't required on this, but this is what I use on the Hammer of the Ancients build. That's just kind of what I got, because I don't mess with the market as much as I used to. But yeah, and then of course Melted Heart of Selig, the thing that holds the whole build together. Vampiric powers. We have Sanguine Brace. Hemomancy. Hemomancy is insanely important in this build. Resilience, Blood Boil, and Metamorphosis. So the reason that Hemomancy is super important, we go over to Upheaval. If you guys don't know this, dealing direct damage to an enemy with a skill that is not Upheaval causes your next cast of Upheaval to deal 12% multiplicative increased damage, stacking up to 6 times. So Hemomancy shoots all those little like lightning things out of it. When each of those damages something, then when you cast your next Upheaval, you'll do however many you hit up to 6, right? So that's why Hemomancy is insanely important. We just put some points over here to get down to it, and then of course go down to that Furious Upheaval. Come down through here, get the shouts, just like every other Barbarian build. The thorns to get our armor up for disobedience. Imposing presence, only 2 into this to get 12% multiplicative max life. Come down through here, War Cry over to Power War Cry, Booming Voice, Aggressive Resistance, Prolific Fury. This is all pretty similar to Hammer of the Ancients. Pit Fighter, and then Counteroffensive. We use Steel Grasp, so we can kind of like get enemies together and then hit them with Upheaval. You can do something different if you wanted to. This is just my preference I'm playing. And it also makes, this is how I also make the enemies vulnerable now, because the Steel Grasp hits them, and there you go. I mean, they're vulnerable for 3 seconds, right? And then it also, you can get 1 additional charge, or you can do this and get Berserking. Coming down through here, we don't have Wallop because we're using the sword. That's the only real downfall to using a sword. I guess Crusher, not having Crushers, either way. We do have Heavy-Handed and Brute Force. Wrath of the Berserker, Invigorating Fury. This is how we gain our life. And then, of course, Unbridled Rage. Paragon. This is why we use the sword. If you come over through here, I'm going to skip ahead. Using Seething, while wielding a sword, you gain 3 Fury when you kill an enemy. So I had this idea that I was going to use a sword, use a mace, and use Crusher along with Seething, and we were going to get both best of both worlds, if I could English. But it just doesn't work because you lose a lot of damage through not being able to use Heavy-Handed or Brute Force, because these need 2-handed weapons. You could use Wallop, but other than that, like, eh. Okay, so back to the Paragon. We have Ire in the first board here. Coming down through here, make sure to grab this max life over here. Coming up through here, same concept as just about every other build. We have Might in here to boost our damage while berserking, all that fun stuff. Grab this damage while berserking and grab the node. I need to change that around and get that willpower up. I just realized that, but that's probably not going to be a big deal. Let's go over here. We have Warbringer, putting Territorial in here, and we're just grabbing like a path. I mean, these 2 extra here, but for the most part, it's a path, making sure to grab this resistance to all elements. And then we come over here to grab the Legendary node. Since we're not using Hammer of the Ancients, Max Fury does not matter, right? This is where this is going to look a little bit different. Having Max Fury doesn't matter, but you want to grab these Fury on kills, so that's why we went this way. I'm coming up to here to grab the node, and then getting this fire resistance and max life down here. And we come up here to Wrath. We come up here to Bonebreaker, and then we put Wrath in Bonebreaker. And then we do the same thing. We kind of just grab enough to get that skills that critically strike generate through Fury. So this quickest path is right here, and then we come up here to grab Bonebreaker to guarantee some overpowers. And then lastly, the Decimator board. We do have Seething in here. We already went over this. We come through this way. Damage with 2-handed slashing weapons. Grab the node, and then Seething in the board. And then expertise-wise, of course, 2-handed axe. I don't think any other build's going to use it. I'm probably going to mess around, trying to make enemies a little bit, or find a way to make enemies vulnerable a little bit more consistently than just Steel Grasp. But for now, this build does work, and it's insanely fun. So I appreciate anybody who stuck around and listened to me ramble. Everybody have a good day. Like I said, though, I am going to work on this build some more, so expect it to come back a little bit more powerful. But as it sits right now, it kills, and it's unkillable. So there's that. Everybody have a good day.